bonus tour, I thought I'd show you guys a little bit of kind of late season flowers. This is 4 o'clock. And I planted this once, and it's come back in this spot for the past 3 years. And it's a variegated 4 o'clock, and so some of the flowers look like this. Isn't that fun? And this seems to be another plant that really just doesn't, you have to keep it watered, but it doesn't seem to mind the heat. And I love that it reseeds, it's just fun. So 4 o'clocks hanging in there, and then the other two still going strong, wildly successful plants this time of year are the marigolds. And so this little butter marigold is still going, and I just come out here and deadhead it and throw the seed pods in pots to discourage other insects. And then this one is still hanging in there as well. And I love how easy marigolds are to deadhead. You just snap them off. A lot of other things are looking a little bit sad this late in the season. The snapdragons that were so glorious, I've trimmed this back quite a bit, and hopefully we'll get a second flush of blooms here, but this cherry twist is past its peak for sure. And then in this pot I have a couple of dahlias, and they've just been a huge bummer, and I couldn't figure out why they looked so ratty, and I thought maybe I had a fungus issue or something. And then I happened to come out here in the evening for something and glanced over, and this was just covered in earwigs. So for whatever reason, the earwigs have decided that this is like their very favorite flower, and they're eating the petals at night. And I have some really good earwig traps that are simple. You just mix equal parts of oil, molasses, and soy sauce in a shallow can, like a tuna can, and stick it out, and the earwigs climb into that and die. The problem is these guys can also smell that, and they will dig it out of whatever I put it in and immediately eat it. And so it's very hard to set earwig traps because these guys are also big fans of the earwig bait. So unless I do something different, I have a hard time with that. This Galaxy Petunia is still going strong. Just amazing. It's looking a little spread out at this point, but still blooming, and has been blooming, you know, since May. So pretty cool. This is called Virgin's Bower. It is a native clematis. It's very, very climby, and so you have to be careful where you put it because it will climb into other things that you don't want it to climb into. But it is also blooming right now. Summer's a tough time for blooms. You don't have a lot of things blooming. It has a tiny little dainty flower, quite lovely. But it also has really pretty seed pods, and that's kind of what it's known for. And so this is doing well. We have 2 or 3 of these on the property, and I started these from wild collected seed, which was really fun. And then lastly, I wanted to show you these guys just because they finally bloomed. So this, hi buddy. Oh, you're okay. So this is a type of dianthus, which is obviously carnation. And I think this was called orange sherbet. And I started these from seed in March, and it's the first time I've ever grown them, and I'm used to dianthus showing up in the spring. I had no idea these were going to take so long to bloom. They took forever, but they finally did, and they're really just lovely. And so I'm very pleased with these. Dianthus is usually pretty cold hardy, so these might overwinter. We'll see. And then the rest of this bed is more of my glorious Sahara Rudbeckia. This one looks really good. The other ones are kind of spent. But zinnia bed. This is Jim Baggett's zinnias. I was hoping for a little more subdued colors. There's a little too much bright orange and bright yellow and bright red and bright pink in there. A little too bubblegum for my personal taste, but very pretty. And I love putting zinnias in this spot just because they just kind of run riot all summer long, which is really fun. And then I had zinnias in here last year, and this is a volunteer. And then That is also a volunteer. So a couple of volunteer zinnias, which is great fun. I imagine those are Magic Carpet, something like that. I can't remember. I had both Jazzy and Magic Carpet in here last year, and so those are probably leftovers from that. Snapdragons, they've been cut back and regrown and cut back and regrown multiple times. This isn't the great spot for them because they don't get quite enough sun, and so they get kind of leggy and floppy, but they're still going. But yeah, summer flowers. Oh, I have to show you these guys. This is Scabiosa, also called pincushion flower. And I really, really love this particular color, this really dark purple, almost black. These make me so happy. And again, not getting quite enough sun, so a little bit leggy, and we're definitely going to seed at this point. So not nearly as gorgeous as they were, but so gorgeous. I love these. So that's been super fun. Those were started from seed in the spring as well. This is Japanese anemone, and these are white and they're quite tall. And I have loved these since I lived in San Jose, California when I was about 20. I have an old black and white photograph that I took of a bed of these blooming when I was still doing black and white photography on film that I've always loved. And I wanted them for years and couldn't find seed, couldn't find plants, couldn't figure out what I needed. There's a bunch of different anemones out there. And finally figured out what it was that I wanted. And then somebody on one of the local groups actually had a post about digging a bed and giving some away. And so I got some starts from her. And this is going on their 3rd year, I think, in this bed. And these are a fall bloomer. And so this is really lovely to have as something nice in the fall. So I'm excited to see those coming. Our potted nasturtiums are definitely, they're still blooming, but definitely the worse for wear with all of the heat that we've had. This is a little ornamental pomegranate. And I didn't realize when I bought it that it was ornamental and not actually one that you could eat. I just have tried to grow pomegranate. We're right on the edge here for being able to grow them. And I thought if I put one in a pot, I could bring it in the winter or let it go dormant in the garage in the winter, and then I would actually get some fruit. And then it turns out that the one I bought was an ornamental variety and it doesn't get very big. And these never really seem to get red or edible. So kind of a bummer on that, but the plant is very happy and kind of fun. They are very decorative. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. And then this is my fig tree. And I have this, I leave it in a pot for the same reason. We can grow figs here, but they were right on the edge of it being too cold, and so they die completely back to the ground every year unless you put them someplace where they're protected in the winter. And so I have this one in a pot so that I can bring it into the garage in the winter, let it go dormant, and then regrow it. And so that's what I did with this one. And I've got like 15 figs on this. None of them are ripe yet. But I'm excited to have some fresh figs. Turns out fresh figs are one of my very favorite fruits. All right, so there you go. Little bonus footage of fun things on the porch and flowers that are still hanging in there.